Hello world, it's Kate Toon here, going live. I very rarely go live on my Facebook page because I don't know why really, but I wanted to chat today about how I run my business. So you might have seen, oh, I've got a very squeaky chair. You might have seen yesterday that I published a blog post about my business and how it's structured, and a few people had a few questions about income sources and building a team and some of the ways that I do things. So I thought I would do a Q&A. Probably awkwardly, I won't get any questions, so I'll just ask myself questions if that works. Hello, Ali, how are you? So one of the first things that I did, and obviously, let me be clear, the reason why I did all of this work is because I've made the big leap to hire my first employee. I've always just worked with subcontractors before, but I really felt that I wanted to have like a collaborator in my business, a Robin to my Batman, to be here a little bit more solidly and be able to work on some project work with me. And obviously when you get someone into your business in that way, it's a real job and you want them to understand the company culture and all that kind of things. And I kind of realized I don't really have a company culture because it's just me in a hut and my dog. So it really made me think about how the business is formed, what's working, what's not, and the direction for the future. So one of the first things I produce, which I think is a really valuable thing for you to think about, is to write down your purpose. So here's my little purpose document that I produced, which just outlines, I guess, my why. And lots of times in business, people talk about the Simon Sinek book, what's your why? And I realized I don't really have one. And I felt for a while bereft because I don't have some grand purpose or grand porpoise, as I like to say. So, I'm not doing this because I want to, build an orphanage in somewhere or, bring world peace about. I'm kind of just doing it to sort of support my family and because I enjoy it, which sounds a bit crappy. So I thought about the sort of deeper whys in my business, and they eventually have ended up being helping small businesses to be found, trusted, and to sell more products and services. So that's via the Google, the SEO courses and the copywriting side of things. Being a light in dark business places. So trying to help people understand, complex things in their business in a fun and easy way. Adding humor and enjoyment to traditionally tedious topics. Very important to me that I don't take my business too seriously, and I don't take the whole thing too seriously, that I enjoy my business, that I'm having fun. Because I'm not having fun, there are a lot easier ways to make money than to run your own business. I could go and get a job for the man if I wanted to not have fun. And also one of the things that I've really found that I have a knack for is creating quirky, supportive communities for smart, friendly, helpful humans. So those are my purpose. By the way, if you have a question, just use #question in the box and I will answer it. So the next thing I went through was the structure of my business. And I'm just going to show you my little structure diagram here. So this is my little organogram of who does what and what people I have working in my business. Now, all these people here have their own businesses. They're all subcontractors. And the benefit of that, of course, is that, I'm not responsible for them. For most of them, I'm not their main client. I'm just one of many clients. If things go wrong with my business and I need to reduce their hours, it's not going to be the end of them. Also, obviously, working with subcontractors is a huge bonus because they really care about what they're doing. They have a reputation to protect. It's their business. So there's a lot of advantages working with subcontractors. You don't have to pay them holiday and super and all that. Don't have to do payroll. So it's less complicated as well. But obviously they're not working in your business. They are working for themselves. And there is a slightly different mindset there. This has grown. So this is what I started with about 5 years ago. It was me and Pomplamoose, and now it's this big group of people. And the reason I really decided to start building a team is because I always been very self-sufficient, and I'm also somebody who likes to be able to do all the things. So if I need design, I'm going to do my own design. If I need bookkeeping, I'm going to do my own bookkeeping. But it's not necessarily the best use of my time. Something that might take me 2 hours to do because I'm not particularly adept at it, like making some WordPress updates, someone else can do, and possibly their hourly rate is a third of mine or something like that. So I should be really it's called, it's a bit naff, but working in my zone of genius and doing what I do best. And it's taken me a while to work out what it is that I do best. But really, what I do best is I create things. I write copy, I make templates, I do courses. That's the best thing I can do. And I'm better served doing that than spending 3 hours reconciling my zero. So it is a big leap. And if you're thinking about building a team, you might be thinking, well, look, I don't have any money. I'm not bringing in enough money for my own business to start employing other people. And therefore, I would just say start small. Start with 1 hour of a VA or 1 hour of a designer or 1 hour of a WordPress developer and just build up from there. And just think that hour that the WordPress developer is doing every month to back up your site, to make edits or do security checks would probably take you 2 or 3 and probably doesn't cost you that much. And just keep an eye on your expenses. So when I was a solo business owner, my expenses were about 25% of my business. So to run my business, to pay for all my subscriptions and my apps and all the other things that I needed, and freelancers and whatever, about 25%. Now that I'm a company, it's not much more than that. So my they're probably a little bit more for staffing. So maybe about 10% extra on top of that for staffing and 25% for expenses. And I try and keep that at that level because I see a lot of businesses being a bit extravagant, to be honest, hiring an office, buying lots of a kit for their office, like expensive computers, doing a lot of personal development, like going to lots of conferences, paying for a lot of courses. Do you really need all that stuff? I've never done a course. I've only recently started going to conferences. For the first 7 years of my business, I didn't go to anything, and maybe the networking would have helped or whatever, but it wasn't essential to me. It wasn't essential to make money. So I do think you have to make some hard decisions. Having your own business can be quite fun because you're like, oh, great, I can go to Kiki.K and buy lots of folders and stuff. And it's like, yeah, you could. But the main goal of having a business is that you're profitable and that you make enough money to support yourself. And all those little things that you buy that make you feel like a business owner, nothing's going to make you feel more like a business owner than earning a decent salary. So, I'd really question some of the expenses that you have. And maybe you're better off investing on other people than necessarily on your going to some fancy, conference or thing. Question from Matt Tutty. Hello, Matt Tutty. Morning, Kate. What did you start outsourcing? What tasks did you prioritize? So one of the first things I outsourced was my tax and my bookkeeping. So I got Xero, which is about $50 a month. I got an accountant. I registered for GST, and they do here in Australia, we have quarterly VAS. That's not something I want to do. I don't know. And also I would never be confident I was doing it properly. So that's the first person I got. And then, someone to help me set up my Xero so that I could reconcile it myself. The next person I got was an amazing VA about 5 years ago called Chantel, and I just had her for a couple of hours a week, and she did things like making edits to WordPress pages or setting up emails or doing a bit of social media scheduling. So not essential life stuff that my business would die if that person didn't show up, but just the fluff, the extra bits, the bits that make your business a bit special. That's where I started. Now my VA and my online business manager and my 2 VAs and my online business assistant do lots of things: email marketing, social media scheduling, WordPress, managing the podcast, helping me with events, bookkeeping, some copywriting. The one thing that I have struggled to outsource and still struggle to outsource is copywriting. And I think that's really important to look at your core skill. Like if you're a graphic designer, often you'll think, well, the first person I'll hire should be a junior graphic designer. I'm not necessarily sure that that's true, because it's very hard to find another human that will do your core skill the way that you want it done. So, I've had lots of different copywriters working for me. The copy's never quite right. It's never my voice. And since that's what I'm known for, that's my actual job, that bit has to be right. If someone posts something on social media and it goes out at the wrong time and it's not perfect, that's not a big deal. But if the copy doesn't sound like me when I'm purporting to be a copywriter, that's a problem. So I think, look at the peripheral things for your team and start there. Now, the other thing I wanted to share was income streams. One of the things we're taught or is spoken about a lot, I'm just going to share this. You can see all these charts and graphics in my latest blog post. I'm just going to share the link to it here. I've included all of those here so you can have a look at them if you want to look at these later, because I think these are interesting documents for you to create yourself in your own business. So let me just share a link to that. So yes, income streams. So this little pie chart shows my income streams. You can see this massive blob here is the recipe course. So that's the course that I launch 3 times a year. I have about 80 people each round. And, you know, that's the lion's share of my income. And also that is the most profitable part of my business, because although it does take a lot of time for me to update and maintain that course, the return on investment is big. You know, it sells well. Other areas like CopyCon, which is this big Navy bit, which is my conference that I run every year. You know, yes, it made a decent amount of money last year. I finally broke even, made a tiny bit of profit, but the resources and the costs involved in running that business and running that event are huge. So the margin on that is not great. But what I wanted to do was not to just rely on my 3 launches. I wanted to have some recurring income. So that's why I have my memberships, I have books, I have templates. Believe me, these are not passive income sources. Running a membership is one of the most labor intensive parts of my business, because you're constantly having to feed those people work, ideas, templates, courses, you know, you're having to answer questions. So again, lots of these things that are sort of sold as highly profitable ways to, you know, make loads of money and live in a hammock, they're not really, you know, unless you do a bad job of them, unless you promise the world, you know, you're charging people $97 a month and all they get is 1 coaching call with you with 1,000 other people and you're never there for the rest of the time. And that's just not how I operate. Question from Beck, podcasting, what were the first 6 months of producing, creating, writing like? This is a great question, because we're actually in the process in the team today of really trying to articulate our podcast process, from getting a guest all the way through to promoting that podcast and beyond. So I'll say that the first 6 months of producing, creating, writing was scrappy. And to be honest, the first 2-3 years of it are scrappy. Podcasts are incredibly labor intensive. I'd say the whole process from go to yo is a good 7 hours of humans for 1 episode, because you've got to, you know, find the guest, you've got to arrange a time with the guest, get the assets from them, write the episode notes. And I do believe in episode notes. Lots of people you just pitch up and they ask you random stuff. I don't think that makes for a great episode, because the guest isn't prepared. Then you have to record the interview, you know, which might take up to an hour. Then you have to get it transcribed. And I do think transcriptions are really important, both to help you decide on edits and also for SEO on the page. You have to get it transcribed. Then you have to send it to an editor. You have to get it back from the editor. You have to load it into Libsyn. Then you have to code a blog post to go along with the post, maybe make some social media graphics, send those graphics to the guests, say thank you, and then social media share them. So it's a lot of work. And you know, again, that's a great thing that you could outsource. But the problem with outsourcing something like a podcast is, you know, 8 hours per episode. That's a fair amount of money. What's your return on investment going to be? What's the product that you're driving them to? You know, if you just have services, yes, it's going to build brand awareness and trust and loyalty, but you know, is there enough of you to go around to make that worthwhile? You know, if you're going to lose that many hours, how many clients are you going to win in exchange for that? For me, obviously the podcast, especially the copy one and the recipe one, they lead to the store that people can buy courses and they can buy products and they can buy memberships. So there's a lot for people to buy. So the thing I would say about podcasting is, if you're thinking about doing a podcast, try and be a guest on at least 6 people's podcasts before you start your own, and see what it's like. Because a lot of people think, oh yeah, I'm going to do podcasting, and then they start doing it and they don't enjoy it, or they find that they're not good at it, or they find that it's just too much work in the limited time that they have. It is a fabulous thing to do. Is it the best marketing tactic out there? I don't think so. I think Facebook Lives and IGTV and Instagram stories and LinkedIn video, I think those are a quicker route to success, and there's zero production. Like, you know, I just pitched up this morning with a few color printouts. I haven't had to prepare a script. There's no going to be editing a transcription of this. It's just happening. And yes, there's only 16 or so people watching now, but this will live on my page for a while and other people will watch it. So yeah, they're a lot of work, but they are helpful in the long run. It's been a slow burn. I think I just checked the other day, and my podcasts have now been downloaded over 500,000 times, which is insane. But that's, after 3 years of slog. So, it's not quick and it's not easy. So this is how my business structure looks now, for those of you who are interested. I've actually really, I've got 5 brands, I'd say. Kate Toon is now my hub brand. So this is, everything used to point towards Kate Toon copywriter. And that's what I built my business on. I managed to get to #1 in Australia for the word copywriter. And obviously that therefore is the proof that allows me to sell a course on SEO, because if I can do it, you can do it. I had so many people kind of following me, other copywriters, that allowed me to build the Clever Copywriting School, because I'd kind of proven myself as a successful copywriter, and therefore I have advice that I can pass on. And then obviously Hot Copy is a co-brand with Belinda Weaver, so we share that brand. But now really I'm driving everything towards Kate Toon. This is where I'm doing my speaking, my book, my future book, and a new podcast that will be coming out next year, which will be, more around business and coaching and just life, less so much about copywriting and SEO, because although I love them, I'm slightly sick of talking about them and I want to talk about new things. So this is a lovely exercise to do, and I would really recommend that you start thinking about this now, which is a timeline of what you've done and how far you've come. Like, when did you start your business? When did you, I've got Beck on the call here, and Beck's a voiceover artist and a musician and a copywriter. So, it'd be interesting. When did you start your business? When did you get your first great client? When did you get 10 clients on your books? When did you hit some kind of financial goal? Like, when did you make your first 50 grand or 100 grand or whatever? When did you do your first speaking gig or your first live or your first whatever? Just track this, because I didn't. And now I look back and I can't remember a lot of things, but going through this process, it made me really look and see that there were periods of really high productivity. So when my son went to school, which was probably in 2014, 2015, you can see that really changed things. So from 2008, when I started, to about 2014, I wasn't doing much. The first 5 years, I was just writing copy, trying to get through the day with my small child, juggling work. It wasn't really until my son went to school, and that kind of mindset shift that you get when you're kind of not worrying about, wiping bottoms and juicing strawberries or whatever, it allowed me to kind of do more work basically and have more time and think about my business in a different way, and I guess up level, which makes me sound like an utter wanker, but you know what I mean. So that's when things really changed for me, and I started to do more things. And then I look again at the period, I think around 2016, late 15, and that was a really tough time, because the recipe course, I rebuilt it all. I also was really pushing with Clever Copywriting School, and I still had copywriting clients, so I was working some long hours, and I was stressed. It wasn't a good time. That's when I put on an awful lot of weight. I wasn't really looking after myself, and that wasn't sustainable, and I would have maybe had a terrible burnout if I'd kept on going like that. But I kind of changed tack, and also things started to build a bit of momentum. So don't underestimate momentum as well. Like, again, you might look at some of the things I do and go, oh, it'd be great to have all of that, but it's taken me a long time. Look at that timeline. That's nearly 12 years we're coming up on that I've been doing all of this. And most of the bigger sort of things really didn't start happening until the last 2 or 3 years. Because you kind of reach critical mass. I talk about Facebook groups that, if you start a free Facebook group, you have to have at least 500 people in it before you get any kind of engagement and rhythm and momentum. A paid group, you have to have at least 100 people in before it becomes self-sustaining and people start helping each other and building that culture of community. You have a course, the first couple of rounds you launch it, you probably get hardly anybody on it. When I launched my recipe course, I think the first round I had 20 people sign up, and then I built the course. Then the next round, I think I only had 16. So it actually went down. And then it was like, God, this is not going to work. And I put so much time and effort into it. But then the next round, I think I got something like 40. So, the dips and the troughs and the highs and the lows, they're all very real. They're all, that's the reality, and I do try and be transparent on this page and share my ups and downs. Hey, one other graphic I haven't shown you, and as I said, all of these are in the blog post I published yesterday called How I Run My Business. I call this my tube of joy, but really I guess it's a sales funnel. And this just shows how people come into recipe, for example. So, these are all the activities that I do. I don't do really any paid ads, although I'm going to experiment with that in 2020. So people come in via here. The first point of call is the I Love SEO group, which is free. It's a Facebook group. Then there's my free SEO Nibbles course. So you give away 2 free things. It's the whole, Gary Vaynerchuk idea of jab, jab, punch. You give, and then you try and sell. So then the first thing people can buy is my 10-day challenge, which isn't hugely expensive. But then, after that, they can either buy the WordPress SEO course or buy the big course. But the truth is, nobody who's not willing to pay, $60 or so for the 10-day challenge is ever going to pay $1,500 for this one. So, it's a proof point. You have to, it makes you see who's going to be what. And I need to get better at understanding the conversion rates from here down to here. And obviously the end goal, well, not the goal, but the next step is that people can join my my digital business coaching group, the Digital Master Chefs, where I kind of, mentor people and help people, whether they're an e-commerce store or a business owner, to kind of use digital marketing well. We talk about automation and chatbots and email marketing and SEO and graphic design and copywriting, all sorts of things. So that's my little funnel. And then the funnel for Clever Copywriting School is similar. There's less in it. I don't really have a full copywriting course. That's something that I want to launch next year. But I have a conference for that instead. So that's my plan. That's what I do. If you've got any questions, please let me know in the comments. If you have any questions about finances or setting up a team or automation, I'm happy to answer anything. So Matt Tutty says, money. I started saving money when I dumped my last SEO provider after doing your short courses, saving for the big course. Yeah, that's it. Learning a few skills yourself can really save you a lot of money. You have to think about the exchange of time, but some things I think it is better to do yourself, because it's your voice. And SEO is a hard one, because a lot of SEO is backlink building and relationship building, and that's hard to get somebody else to do on your behalf. So that can be a good one. And just finding clever little ways. So often what I'll do is I'll ask my graphic designer to make me little templates that I can upload into Canva, so that she doesn't necessarily need to make every single graphic for me. She's made the core graphics and I can make the rest myself pretty quickly in Canva, rather than briefing someone, waiting to get them back, making amends and getting them done. That's a little cost efficiency for me. Other little efficiencies that I find, I have all my softwares as apps on my phone. So, if I've got some dead time, like I'm at the school gate waiting for my son to come out, I've got my Xero on here. I might quickly just reconcile some payments. It takes like 5 or 6 minutes. There's my bookkeeping done for the week. I try and find little pockets of time. Because just like you, I have limited time. They always say Beyonce has the exact same 40 hours a week that you have, which is absolute nonsense, because Beyonce's got a team of millions to help her do everything. But it's really about, looking at the day that you've got. And it's very rare that I get a couple of hours to do anything and concentrate on anything. So instead, I try and use micro tasks. I'm big into the Pomodoro method of working for 25 minutes and intensely and then having a little break. That's how I get a lot done. So Kerry Berriman, hello Kelly. Do you use a CRM system like Salesforce, Dubsado, or Harvest? How do you keep track of all the people, clients, emails? So I use ActiveCampaign as my CRM. So that's what all my emails go through. I don't use it to my best ability, I'll be honest. I'm sure there's a lot more that ActiveCampaign could do that we're not using it for. That's something that we really want to focus on next year. In terms of, I don't really have clients so much. I only have one client at the moment. I'm working with Sanitarium, rewriting all the Weet-Bix up and go copy, which is a fun project. So, with the memberships, they're all handled via the website in WooCommerce memberships, which feeds into ActiveCampaign, with emails. My team manage a lot of the front line of that. So, a lot of the admin emails, my VAs will answer those and deal with those, because they're the same problems again and again. I can't log in, or my credit card has changed and I need to change it because I want to renew my membership. So, no point me getting involved with those necessarily. But, it's a lot. It's a juggle. And I do think having a project manager mindset helps. We use Asana to manage projects and manage the team, and we use Slack to communicate. So we don't end up sending emails back and forth to lots of people. We try and use project management tools for that. And we're big in spreadsheets. I love a spreadsheet. I've got spreadsheets for everything. Rebecca says, recipe tube of joy, great visual. I've started a camera confidence-free FB group and offering a 5-day free show up and shine challenge as another freebie, planning to make it a course in good time. Yeah, so I think something free to begin with, and then something around the $27 mark or $47 mark, which is called your tripwire product. That just gets people buying from you, testing that they trust you and they're ready to buy. Because what I see often people do is they build the $2,000 course and they haven't proven that they can sell a $27 template. And if you can't sell a $27 template, you'll never be able to sell the big course. Also, these days, I'm not sure I would do a challenge anymore. I did a 10-day challenge. That was 4 years ago. They were all in vogue. These days, the thought of having to do 10 days of anything would make me feel physically ill. So, I don't want to give people a freebie that makes them have to do more work. So I try and find freebies that solve problems quickly and easily, because they still build expertise, authority, and trust. They're just less pressure on the person. Like, don't make me do a 17-day inspirational challenge where I have to do stuff every day, because I'm just gonna get sick of it and not do it, and then feel guilty and then never buy your big course because I'll be feeling, look, I couldn't even get through the 5 days. How will I ever get through an 8-week course? So think about those things as well. I find if you haven't seen it already, on my recipe for SEO success site, I did a training on lead generation, and I went through because I've tried pretty much every type of lead generation possible, from courses to videos to templates, you name it, I've done it. So there's a little course here that you can do. And for me, the most successful lead generation thing has always and will always be a checklist. So again, I created a little template here for creating the best possible checklist, because I see a lot of people who have checklists on their site, like 10 things to do before you put a product in your shop or whatever, but then you download them and they're just a really shitty Word document with no branding and not really that helpful. They're just stating the obvious. Your freebie needs to be better than someone else's paid thing. So if your competitor's got a 10-point checklist on whatever, you need to have a 57-point checklist with videos and graphics and diagrams. And it sounds hard, but that one little lead generation piece is the start of your funnel. And you need to be thinking about the numbers. How many people do you need to get in the top to get your number of people at the bottom? So I'm working on those figures. I say the average conversion rate for everything works out to be roughly 3.5%. So, you get 1,000 people at the top of your funnel, 3.5 of them, I don't know what the half is, are going to buy your thing. And that's a lot of people to get into the top of your funnel. How are you going to do that? How are you going to get those people? How are you going to build up that audience? And again, this is another challenge I see with business owners. Great plans. I want to launch a conference. I want to launch a retreat. I'm going to do a course. And it's like, well, what have you built an audience? Do you know in your head right now at least 20 people who are going to buy that thing before you start it? If you don't build that thing, because you're not ready. You have to build the audience first before you build the thing. It's not like that film with, what's he called? Kevin something or other, where he says, if you build it, they will come. We all know with online, you can build something perfectly wonderful and no one comes. I see a lot of business owners launching courses and, really putting a lot of effort into their launch and doing Facebook Lives and video presentations and interviews and getting like 15 people, which is not bad, but it's not going to set the world alight. You're not going to be able to live off that. That's not going to enable you to kind of stop taking on clients or give up your day job. You need bigger numbers to make it work. So really focus on building your audience up. How you do that? Well, there's lots of different ways of doing that. But, we've talked about podcasting, lead generation, Facebook Live, speaking at events, networking. But generally, it's just turning up, For 12 years, I've turned up pretty much every day and done something. Some of it's been absolutely wretched. Some of it's been good. But I'm still here, banging away. You're probably sick of me. Well, 13 of you are still here, so you're hopefully not sick of me. But anyway, that's it. If you have any more questions, pop them into the chat. But otherwise, I'll finish up. I hope that was useful or interesting. Possibly not. As I said, if you haven't already, check out my latest blog post where I go through all of this in a bit more detail and share all the graphics and ideas and things that have worked for me, and things that haven't worked for me. So I hope that gives you a little bit of inspiration and maybe answers some questions. But thanks for watching. And yeah, my name's Kate Toon, and I guess I'm the owner of staytuned.com. It's not a .com. Why did I say that? katetoon.com. Check it out. And if you want to know anything more, just leave a comment under this video and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching. Bye.